let us start with the last topic of electronic commerce and m-commerce. That is question number 19, 20, 21. Write about several IT risks as per standard on auditing 315. See, generally electronic commerce always depends upon the systems. For example, accurate data is processed by exact processing system to produce the final accurate outcome, exact outcome. Whereas in the case of this component is concerned, dependence on systems or programs that accurately processing the data or processing of accurate data. 2 points. The first point is processing of inaccurate data or it may be inaccurately processing the data. For example, consider this is a processing subsystem. Some form of problems or the mistakes with the processing subsystem, it leads to inaccurately processing the data. But the given information is inaccurate, incorrect. Inaccurate data may be processed. So, dependence or reliance on processing subsystem or the systems or the programs which inaccurately process the data or processing of inaccurate data or two considerations, sometimes both. It means if you have a program consists of some bugs or the problems or the errors, even though you give accurate data, it may process inaccurate outcome because the program itself is not valid. Whereas a program is correct, but if we give incorrect data without validation, it may process the outcome that is called as processing of inaccurate data or inaccurate data processing or combination of both. Next one, unauthorized access to the data which may lead to destruction of important information or loss of privacy, spying of information, unauthorized removal, usage, copying, transferring or any other, because each and every action is in electronic commerce is electronic oriented. That's why unauthorized access to the data are a program which leads to destruction, copying, removal, usage and so forth. For example, you have to allocate access permissions to the user based on requirements. If you allot more permissions, what are access privileges? Access privileges is nothing but access permissions. If you assign more access privileges than needed, it leads to failure. That's why I told you in previous chapters that is a concept called segregation of duties, called a separation of duties. Functionality, the same function cannot be allocated for two or more people. The functionality must be segregated. Every person is specifically handling a specific functionality so that no more conflict exists. So, access privileges may be assigned more than needed, that is called as it may create a problem. And then we have another component, unauthorized changes to the data or programs or both, which may lead to IT risk. See what I am talking, all these elements are come under various categories of IT risks. So, unnecessarily depending on Inaccurate data processing or processing of inaccurate data are both. Assigning action privileges more than needed, and then unauthorized changes to the data, unauthorized access to the data, and then we have unauthorized changes to the systems or programs. See, if you perform any modification to the system programs, they may produce incorrect result. Even we have a file, what you call unauthorized changes to the master file. As you know, we have different categories of files: master file, transaction file. Master file is nothing but a main database file where the entire data is stored permanently, which is similar to your ledger. Whereas transaction file is nothing but a file where all the transactions are recorded on a day-to-day basis. These are somewhat temporary file. So, failure to make necessary changes to the systems or the programs, unauthorized changes to the systems or the programs, unauthorized changes to the master file, you have to provide some kind of modifications or updations. Still, failure to make necessary changes to the systems and programs. When the automation activities are executing, your need not entered into the system for manual intervention, because all the automation activities are executed automatically without human intervention, but inappropriate manual intervention may causes some category of risk. If the risk is potential loss of data, there is a possibility of loss of data, because I told you, even in the case of BYOD also, data loss is equal to device loss is equal to data loss, which is a very, very critical component as far as the data is concerned. Here the question is very important question, easy question. Write about several IT risks as per SA 315, that is Standard on Auditing. SA 315 recognizes that IT possesses specific risk to an entity's internal controls in the following form. In the public examination, the question may be asked. SA 315 recognizes that IT possesses specific risk to entity internal control system in an organization which is used for providing operational effectiveness and efficiency. Explain or discuss those risks. Direct question may not be given to you. The first part of the answer will be act as a question. That's why don't leave any point while reading the concept. Dependence on the systems or the programs that are inaccurately processing the data, or processing of inaccurate data, or both. There is a vast difference. Processing of inaccurate data or inaccurately processing the data. If you give incorrect data, that is called as processing inaccurate data. If the programming or a processing system consists of some errors, that is called as inaccurately processing the data. Unauthorized access to the data, which may lead to destruction of data or improper changes to the data. Destruction, deletion, copying, tampering, replaying, or so forth. It may also lead to recording of unauthorized or non-existent transactions, inaccurate recording of transactions. Unauthorized access to the data, which may lead to destruction of data or improper changes to the data. It may also lead to other. Risk may also arises when multiple users access the common database. We have a common database. The same common database can be accessed by multiple number of users. There is a possibility of conflict. So, for example, I have a variable or I have value A. A is equal to 1000 rupees. multiple number of users are accessing the same data called A. One person wants to modify the data, some other person wants to read the data. At that time, it leads to a collision, conflict. So, at that time, we have to use a concept called atomic transaction, one after another, one after another. The possibility of IT personnel gaining access privileges beyond their assigned duties, thereby breaking down the segregation of duties. I told you, if you assign more access privileges than needed, automatically it leads to failure, that is violation of segregation of duties or separation of duties. We have a main database file, what you call master file. Unauthorized changes to the data in the master file, unauthorized changes to the systems or the programs, and failure to make necessary changes to the systems or programs, inappropriate manual intervention, potential loss of data, or inability to access the data as required. All these components are come under various categories of IT risks. Anything, whatever the privileges you require, we are going to allocate the privileges, that's it. More number of privileges are not needed. Assign only the required privileges so that the concept of segregation of duties can be achieved. Identify the problems in the case of processing system so that it processes only accuracy of data, accurately process the data. So, it must perform some validations on it. What is that? Validations on it. So that we can avoid the problem. And then we are not going to allow any kind of unauthorized parties in the system so that there is no leakage of data, no modification of data. Master file is not normally access to all people, only authorized people can access the master file. That is. So, question number 19 and then question number 20. What kind of controls are to be used for addressing key cyber security risk? Cyber security is nothing but providing a safeguarding mechanism in all the aspects, not only in a specific data. Cyber security requires all areas to be supervised. This cyber security element may include various aspects. Listen. In the case of cyber security, considerations to be considered as control for addressing key cyber security issues. Here we have a network diagram. What network diagram determines what are various devices, routers, servers, storages, internal, external networks, and so forth. First, you need to have a network diagram that shows the connectivity of devices in the terms of routers, gateways, servers, storages, even internal, external networks. Next one. You have to list out the digital assets. We have various digital assets in the system. So, identify the location of those assets and manage those assets from unauthorized access. So, the first one is network diagram detailing all the elements in this. Second one is list of digital assets within the company, and at the same time, IT managers are always responsible for managing those assets. Next one is there should be a policy and procedure document, because in the case of accessing digital assets, we have to follow some set of rules and regulations such like a protocol, policy and procedure document, not procure, it is a procedure document. And then any kind of incidents on cyber security breaching. Breaching is nothing but violations. Whenever there exists, immediately identify actions to be taken, and then we always try to safeguard from the attacks. See, for example, if you want to open 3movierules.com or 4movierules.com or uTorrents, it is more prone to viruses, worms, trojans. If you handle those items wisely, it is somewhat safe. But the major precautionary measure is not to open such kind of sites. And some other people who are habituated to open some pornography, illegal websites, then their computers, laptops or mobile phone is completely vulnerable to the attacker. There is no concept of safeguarding there. Safeguarding from attacks. And we have access permissions. What are access permissions? We are allocating rules called access permission rules. For example, as a project manager, I am supposed to perform all actions: read, write, execute, delete. You all are my members, so you are allowed to read, write, execute, but not delete. Other people are not allowed to read, write, only they will be getting only execute option. That is a periodic review of access rights. So continuously we are going to verify, review access permissions, and we are going to check for adequate approvals exist in order to access the resource. Is it properly taken approval or not? We have to create some employee awareness campaigns that is on time. So some set of components includes what kinds of control are to be used for addressing key cyber security risk. First one is network diagram. Network diagram detailing servers, databases, hubs, routers, switches, internal, external network. List of digital assets. Nowadays, as far as automation is concerned, every activity, every element treated as a digital asset. A file is asset, disk is an asset, scanner is an asset. List of digital assets used by the company and IT managers responsible for the protection of those digital assets along with the physical location of those assets. Policy and procedure document of the criticality of the digital assets and the use of those digital assets, direct impact and financial statements of the company, access restrictions to those assets. For example, consider, just now I told you, master file. Master file is nothing but a digital asset. IT managers are responsible for providing protection. No unauthorized party is allowed to open the master file. Only authorized parties are allowed to open the digital asset. That's it. Any incidents of cyber security breaching is nothing but violation which occur, and actions taken and control built into avoiding them from occurring again. So once any kind of breaching occurs, then we have to immediately suppress or remove, mitigate the impact, and at the same time we always ensure that no future occurrences of this attack or this kind of breaching. Or IT managers who are responsible for safeguarding assets from cyber attacks are adequately skilled and trying to perform the functions or not. That's why we used to conduct various campaigns, that is timely employee awareness campaigns focusing on methods of intrusion. Intrusion is also come under some type of attack that can be stopped based on individual actions. Is it all the permissions are executing properly or not? is verified by periodic review of access rights. Periodic review of access rights to all IT resources to ensure that access to the users is communicated with their functional roles. Adequate approval exists before access is granted to the IT resource. If you want to access a particular IT resource, proper or adequate approval must be taken, otherwise there is no use. Adequate approvals exist before access is granted. Annual review by Chief Information Officer based on company's digital assets and the IT environment in which it operates, assessing which are the most critical cyber security risks and designing controls to address the same. Entity should have IT security policy circulated to all the employees detailing the procedures to be followed, adhered to when accessing IT systems or resources like password security, restricted use of internet and so forth. Usage of firewalls, base license and some other points also there, but that are not needed. What kind of controls are to be addressed in key cyber security risk? Key cyber security risk. Next one, another important question. Question number 21. I think last question. Question number 21. An entity going for electronic commerce or m-commerce need to create a clear policy guidelines for various aspects. What are they? Here we have various aspects. There are some policy guidelines for electronic commerce or m-commerce. The first one is billing. See, in the case of billing, you need to address various parts: format of the bill, address, description, GST or SGST, CGST and some other information to be defined. So, in the case of billing, there should be the key issues to be addressed in the case of billing includes format of the bill, details to be shared, that is address, company address, phone number, email, fax and so forth, applicable GST. So, there should be a proper billing, and then related details to be shared, applicable GST. So, in the case of billing, key issues to be addressed are details of the bill, format of the bill and applicable GST. Next one is product guarantee or warranty. I told you at the starting point itself, there should be clear policy guidelines that should be displayed in either electronic form and also physical form. When you buy a smartphone, the box itself contains a physical document called guarantee card or warranty card. Proper display of product guarantee or warranty online as well as physical document sent along with the product. Physical document sent along with the product. This is a guarantee or warranty certificate. Next one is shipping. In the case of shipping, I told you in the case of logistic management, shipping time, frequency of shipping, packing at the time of shipping, all these need to be put in the policy document. Generally, nowadays, all the information is shared with the customer in the terms of tracking a article. Your article received, your article order received, your article selected from the staging area. This is placed into this particular part, that is under packaging, that is under transit. This is a courier service up to Hyderabad, Vijayawada, now Guntur, so and so place. So here shipping time, frequency of shipping, packing at the time of shipping, all these need to be put in the policy document. It will ensure that policy procedures are properly packed, products are properly packed and timely shipped so that customer will receive the product on time. Next one is delivery. Delivery elements will need to consider in which mode you are going to receive the product. It may be online or physical. See, I told you, if the product is a software or a antivirus, some other electronic component such as e-book, that may be delivered online, otherwise physical. When deliveries are to be made, it may be Friday to Monday to Friday or only Saturday, Sunday, morning hours, office hours, something. When deliveries are to be made, where deliveries are to be made, to whom deliveries are to be made. Timely delivery is important. Next one is return policy. Which goods can be accepted in return? I told you in previous sessions, there is a return policy, a refund policy. Which goods to be accepted in return? That should be in the document itself. The number of days within which returns can be accepted. The process of verifying the authenticity of the product received back. When you buy a product, for example, you bought a cell phone. After that, we got a problem. You got a problem, then you send it for return policy. At that time, they are going to verify whatever the product sent by them is same or not, including everything, battery number, mobile sequence, IMEI number, screen and everything. The process of verifying authenticity of the product received back, the time in which buyer shall be paid his amount back for goods returned. Sometimes some websites may not send you money. Instead of that, they ask you to buy some other product. That is called as return policy. Next one is payment. It determines mode of payments. For some products, there is no concept of cash on delivery for consumables. Some other products we used to have cash on delivery facility. Some products specific mode of payment shall be there. Organizations restrict cash on delivery for few consumable products. This is called as a payment mechanism. This is payment. Let us see one by one. An entity, what is entity? Organization. An organization going for e-commerce or m-commerce business needs to create a clear policy guidelines for various aspects. What are they? Same point in the answer also. An organization going for electronic commerce or m-commerce business needs to create a clear policy guidelines on various aspects as stated below. First one is billing. I have shown you with example. Issues to be addressed in the case of billing is format of the bill, details to be shared in the bill, applicable GST. Product guarantee or warranty. Nowadays, both the elements, even registration of your once if you receive the product, then you are allowed to register your product online. Or you can check the warranty or guarantee online. For example, if you buy a hard disk, external hard disk, if it is a Seagate or WD Passport, if you buy a product that is a Seagate hard disk, then you are allowed to register yourself, or you can check the warranty guidelines online. When you open Seagate.com, automatically you enter your Seagate hard disk number, that it shall shows your warranty or guarantee. Proper display of product guarantee or warranty online as well as documents sent along with the products. Shipping, shipping time, frequency of shipping, packing at the time of shipping, all these issues shall be put in the policy document. Everything is recorded. Everything is recorded. Delivery. Policies need to be defined for which mode of delivery to be chosen, when deliveries are to be made, where deliveries to be made. Written policy. Policies need to be defined which goods to be accepted in return, the number of days in which the return can be accepted, the process of verifying the authenticity of the product received back, the time in which the buyer shall be paid his amount back for the goods returned. Payment. Policy guidelines need to be created for the payment related issues, that is mode of payment. For some product, specific payment mode shall be accepted. For example, we may restrict cash on delivery option for few consumable products only. In many cases, if the product is highly demanding product, they are simply restriction cash on delivery. Simply, they will ask you to pay. In some other cases, if you have cash on delivery, the delivery charges may be included. If you have prepaid, then there is no cash on, there is no charges, there is no delivery charges, free delivery. So, in order to attract the customer, they may provide you various options. This is called policy document. See, this is the information related to electronic commerce, M-commerce, what you call e-commerce and M-commerce. Let us have the total concept revision for 20 minutes. Very simple and easy chapter. I told you e-commerce, M-commerce and emerging technologies, all these components are come under one unit. In the case of our material, we have divided the total subject into 10 chapters for your easiness and convenience. For e-commerce, M-commerce and emerging technologies, these three come under one unit, right? Okay, let us start. In this chapter, we have introduction part, which includes advantages, types of electronic commerce, business models, advantages, disadvantages, components of electronic commerce, architecture of network systems. Even in the case of components, we have technology components also. Architecture. What is the architecture? Two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture, advantages, disadvantages. Risk and controls associated, guidelines and laws governing electronic commerce, later digital payments. Very simple and easy chapter. Yes, we have question number 1. What is electronic commerce? Electronic commerce is a method of buying and selling of products, services, applications with the help of internet. Electronic commerce may be modified that supports the same thing by using mobile based is said to be M-commerce. We have the process of doing the business electronically is said to be e-commerce. It may be B2B, business to the business, business to the consumer, consumer to the business, consumer to the consumer, business to the government, government to the business, or government to the consumer, business to the employee. We have various categories of electronic commerce. It provides you secure and reliable connection. This is the first one. 2, 3, 4. Question number 2, 3, 4 consists of advantages of electronic commerce or benefits of electronic commerce. Benefits of electronic business, benefits of electronic commerce with respect to the user, with respect to the business, with respect to the government. Instrument to fight the corruption, reducing the use of ecologically damaging materials, the material which causes harm to the environment. So we are not going to allow such kind of material. These are the advantages to the government. Easy entry into the new market, equal access to the market, reduction in the terms of cost, instant transactions, isn't it? Instant transaction, holding the customer base, making of payments, recurring components, dynamic market, and then we have efficiency. These are the advantages with respect to merchant. Time saving, convenience, anytime access, coupons and deals, reviews about the product from the previous customers is come under electronic commerce advantages with respect to the user. Once again I am telling you, if the question is what are the benefits of e-commerce, you have to cover all these three questions, 2, 3, 4. You have to cover 2, 3, 4 questions. If the question is explain the benefits of e-commerce with respect to user, you have to write only with respect to user. That's it. Next one, sir. Next one is, it's a C. 5, 6, 7, all these are C grade questions. What are the disadvantages of electronic commerce? Without internet connection, there is no e-commerce. Internet connection, high startup cost, legal issues, security component, structural or cultural impairments, and so forth. Business model. A business model always determines you for achieving revenue or a profit. Further, you have to establish an organization, create a business model for in an internet economy. Various categories of e-market, it's also C grade question. E-shop, e-market, e-auctions, e-malls, portals, buyer aggregator, virtual communities, e-marketing, e-procurement, e-distribution. How can we relate e-commerce model, e-business model with e-business market? I told you, business to the business. A business organization is going to provide some services or product to the customer is said to be B2C. A business organization is going to provide services to the customer, B2C. A large business to business, B2B. Business to government, so business to customer, business to business, consumer to consumer, consumer to business, consumer to government, government to the consumer, business to the government, and so forth. Next one, what are the components of electronic commerce? Very important question. First, we require a user. I am a user. User may be individual or organization who wants to use electronic commerce site for purchasing of goods, services, product. A person, an organization who is ready to provide some services to the user is said to be e-commerce vendor. We require technology infrastructure. We require computers, servers, storages, digital libraries, mobile applications, and data interchanges. Without internet connection, no electronic commerce exists. Web portal, this is an area where we interact with e-commerce vendor. That is in the terms of interfacing. It may be smartphones or smart televisions also support this kind of interfacing. The total payment mechanism will be handled by payment gateways. Question number 10, it's a C grade question. What activities are required for electronic commerce vendor to ensure better, effective, and efficient transactions? Supply chain management, warehouse operations, shipping returns, catalogs and product display, marketing loyalty programs, showroom offline purchases, showrooms and offline purchases, guarantees, privacy policy, security. Next important one, write about technology infrastructure that is required for electronic commerce. I told you at any level it must support, that is called as a scalability. E-commerce application must be easy to use and convenient. It provides immediate responses to the user called a responsive design. Computers, servers, databases, mobile applications, digital library, data interchange, internet working. And then, what is meant by architecture of a networked system? Explain. Architecture is a term used to define the style of design and method of construction, how hardware elements are going to be interconnected to support the systems. There are 2-tier, 3-tier. I given you separate diagrams with the comparison of railway system. 2-tier architecture. In a 2-tier architecture, client interact with the database server retrieves the data and provides information to the client. Here there exist 2 levels, that's why we have a presentation tier and database tier. It supports multiple number of users, whereas in the case of single tier architecture, only one user is connected with the system. Here, since the processing is shared between client and server, more users could interact with the system, but it causes a reduction in the terms of performance if the number of users increases. Even though it supports the flexibility, it supports a restricted flexibility. Easy to set up and maintain the system. Next one is 3-tier architecture. In the case of 3-tier architecture, we have 3 levels or 3 layers. 3-tier architecture can be organized in the form of user interface. Then user interface is called as a client. Application logic, application type. Data access, data storage. Clear separation of everything, that is an advantage also. The topmost layer who interact with the system is said to be a client tier called a presentation tier, where application logic, where application processing occurs called middle tier or application tier, where the data storage and accessing will be provided, that is called as database, called data tier. Advantages and disadvantages. Later, we have mobile commerce, buying and selling of products, services, applications with the help of internet-enabled personal digital assistants or mobile phones, smartphones, tabs and so forth. This is the next generation to the electronic commerce. This is totally wireless technology. How we are going to compare these elements with the application and also client, user and database. Very, very important question. What are the risks associated with electronic commerce? A risk always causes negative impact. In an electronic commerce, risks are somewhat high when internet concepts are concerned, because it includes some financial transactions. So, here there is a privacy and security, quality issues, delay in goods and hidden cost, need access to the internet and lack of personal touch, security and credit card issues, infrastructure, problem of anonymity, repetition of a contract, lack of authenticity of the transactions, data loss or theft or duplications, attacks from hackers, denial of service, non-recognition of electronic transactions, lack of audit files, lack of piracy. That is here problem of piracy. Piracy is nothing but copy, privacy is nothing but confidentiality. Question number 17. On whom controls are required to be placed in the chain of electronic business environment? See, we have to achieve operational effectiveness and operational efficiency based upon rules, regulations and policies. In a business environment, we need to check for whether genuine user is interacting with e-commerce site or not, called user. And then here many electronic commerce business have lost their money, did not have a proper controls in the place, called seller. Government is going to verify tax, accounting and all products are legal. Network service provider, internet connection is very, very important. If there exists a problem with the internet connection, the total business comes into standstill state. Technology, except the network, remaining components are said to be technology service provider. Logistics service provider. What is logistic? Logistic is nothing but transportation, which is very, very critical component. On time, timely delivery of the product to the customer is very important for success of any electronic commerce site. Payment gateway. In order to run these elements, we have to handle the payment gateways effectively, efficiently. What controls are needed for various participants in electronic commerce? See, nowadays risk is a common, that's why we have to provide some category of information to the people in the chain, educating the participants about the nature of risk, communication of organization policies to the customers, ensure compliances with the industry body standards, protect your electronic commerce business from intrusion. I told you viruses, hackers, passwords, regular software updates, sensitive data and so forth. And then question number 19, write about several IT risks as per standards on auditing, that is dependency on the systems or the programs which inaccurately or processing of inaccurate data, that is unauthorized access to the data. A risk arises when multiple people access the same data, common database. Possibility of handling or assigning more access privileges than needed. Unauthorized changes to the master file, unauthorized changes to the data or the programs, failure to make necessary program changes, inappropriate manual intervention, potential loss of data. Next one. What kind of controls are to be used for addressing key network diagram? I told you, list of digital assets, maintenance, policy and procedure document, identification of security, cybercrime breaching and actions taken, and at the same time we always ensure that no future occurrences. Safeguarding of assets from the attacks, every person must follow the roles and responsibilities, adequate approval is needed, timely employee campaigns, and then verification, periodic reviews also there. Question number 21. An entity going for electronic commerce or m-commerce business need to create a clear policy guideline for various aspects. Explain. Isn't it? So here we require billing, format of the bill, details to be showed, applicable details to be shared and applicable GST. Product guarantee, both the physical and electronic information must be provided. Timely shipping, shipping time, frequency, everything is recorded. Delivery, in what mode, which mode, where delivery is to be made. Return policy, what type of goods can be accepted, when it can be accepted, what is the allotted time for accepting returns. Authenticity of the received product and everything. Payment, it may be mode of payment and some product we have. And commercial laws governing e-commerce, m-commerce, Income Tax Act, Companies Act, Foreign Traders Act and so forth. And what are the special laws governing electronic commerce and m-commerce? RBI 1932 and we have IT Act. IT Act 2000 always determines you privacy, confidentiality, protection of your data. Whereas RBI, it defines conversion of all plastic cards, magnetic strip based cards into electronic chip based cards, and every transaction must be executed on the basis of what? On the basis of OTP or a PIN number. Next, what are the latest trends in electronic commerce? That is a content, social commerce, mobile commerce, biometrics, artificial intelligence and predictive analysis. Question number 25, 26, 27, very important questions, very important questions. What is meant by digital payments? Explain new methods of digital payments. See, a digital payment, in the case of digital payment transaction, no physical cash or no hard cash is involved. Every transaction is executed in an instantaneous manner. And then there are different methods of payment mechanism, conventional method and nowadays new method. As far as traditional methods are concerned, card payments, internet banking. Card payment and internet banking. In the case of card payment, we have debit card and credit card. One is on the basis of credit, one is on the basis of debit. Next one is user need to log on to the website that is provided by a banking, enter the username and password, and they are allowed to perform the transaction, transfers and everything. Next one is digital payment mechanism, new category of digital payments. We used to have UPI, Unified Payment Interfaces, immediate payment services, IMPS, Bharat Interface for Money called BHIM application, wallet application, Aadhaar enabled payment services, unstructured supplementary service data, mobile banking, cryptocurrency. And then question number 27, another very important question. What are the advantages and limitations? Advantages and limitations of a digital payment. See, ultimately digital payments provides you various benefits to the user community and also for organizations. It also associated with some limitations. Overspending, difficult for the non-technical people. See, overspending. See, if you have a digital payment mechanism, you can have the total availability of money. In the case of a physical wallet, you are allowed to perform some transactions with available money, whereas all the money is available to you, then there is no limit on spending. Risk of data. Advantages includes it is easy and convenient because there is no need to carry the cash from one point to the another point. Easy and convenient. Physical location is not the important criteria. Anyone can pay to anybody from anywhere. Even Government of India also supports some discount from the taxes. Everything is, if it is a physical currency, we have to maintain a record where you need to spend more time on writing every day, whereas written record is provided automatically by digital payment, less risk. Competitive advantage to the business. Many businesses may not be succeeded without digital payment. Normal tea centers, even it may be in the center, small tiffin centers, tea centers, vegetable market, everyone accepts digital payment. And also environment friendly because we are reducing the use of paper. Ultimately, it provides you environment friendly components. Yes, I told you the drawbacks: difficult for the non-technical people, risk of data theft and overspending. What are the advantages and disadvantages or drawbacks associated with the digital payment? And then traditional methods of digital payment, I told you credit card and internet banking. We have another card called a smart card. A smart card is an electronic chip based card. A smart card embedded with electronic circuitry. The card itself can store and process the data on its own. Whereas in the case of normal, our cards are concerned, those cards are only for authentication, not for storing of any other information related with the account. That's why here smart card. Generally we have different types of smart cards: contact card, contactless card, combi card. Where user need to swipe the card is said to be contact. There is no need to swipe the card, that is called as contactless card. If you combine both the features of contact and contactless, that is called a Combi card. What is that? Combi card. So this is the information related to electronic commerce and m-commerce. Still we have to complete 2 more chapters, 2 more units. They are chapters, but we have to treat as a units. Very, very important. That is, financial and accounting system is 1 unit, and core banking system is another unit. Chapter number 7 and 8 need to be completed. As far as our topics are concerned, components of information system, data and DBMS, information system risk and controls, IS audit, that is 1 unit. Business process automation, BPA risk and controls, that is 1 unit. E-commerce, M-commerce, emerging technologies, that is another unit. 3 units were completed. Now we have to complete 2 more units, financial accounting system and core banking system. Okay, that's all for today. Tomorrow we will start with the financial and accounting system, that is chapter number 7. Thank you.